While Republicans control the legislature and the governor's mansion, and state revenues are growing, DeSantis' spending plans are not guaranteed. A key voice is House Speaker Jose Oliva from Miami Lakes. This will be the final year of Oliva's 2-year tenure as the leader of the House, and he's known as a fiscal hawk. When the governor first unveiled his teacher pay hike proposal, Oliva released a statement that expressed gratitude not for the governor, but, quote, for those who came before us and saw it fit to bind us and all future legislatures to a balanced budget, end quote. Call it a cool reception. Oliva's own spending priority for the budget is very modest in comparison to the governor's. Speaker Oliva spoke to us via Skype.
Our economy is growing, our budget is growing, but what we are trying to do is keep a hold on the per resident spending. That is to say, it should not cost you more to be a Floridian next year than it did last year. So these are when you have a growing economy the way we do, it is easy to lose sight because there are new dollars coming into the coffers of how you're spending those dollars. And there is never, ever, ever in government a shortage for how those dollars can be spent.
As you are looking at those new dollars, along with your fellow lawmakers, what are the priorities for you as Speaker of the House for those new dollars that you will have in the budget?
This year, we will try to focus on the child welfare system. You know, there are no lobbyists on that side, but there are children that fall into this system that are taken from their homes for a myriad of reasons, and oftentimes they land into a state system and they sit there for hundreds of days before their parents can finally reunite with them. So we're trying to find solutions so that we don't break up families if there's not an immediate and violent and, of course, safety issue, and making sure that those healthcare workers that are dealing in this very tough environment are properly compensated, they're properly educated, and there's a properly ongoing education for them.
So this is the foster care system.
Yes.
So help us define that and how and where that intersects the budget as you are putting together those numbers.
Well, you have to make priorities as far as what the people that are going to be dealing with these children or are dealing with them now and are technically they're overwhelmed by their workloads. Are we properly supporting them? Do they have the supporting staff necessary?
So you'd like to see more resources dedicated to the child welfare system in Florida, and that would mean more money?
That would require more money put to that area. But that does not mean new money. That oftentimes could mean reallocated funds.
And so as you're looking at the child welfare system as a priority for you as Speaker of the Florida House in this upcoming legislative session, what kind of financial resources would you like to see directed toward the welfare system, and where would those come from in the budget?
Well, I think that one that can come from a series of expenditures that we do every year that are local products. In the colloquialism, they're known as pork. There are hundreds of millions of dollars that go towards these things. Some of them, fortunately, fall within the veto pen of the given governor at the time, and this governor has shown to be a strong fiscal conservative in that regard. In a $91 billion budget, there are many areas that we can find where spending is going on, where spending that was allocated decades ago but is recurring, and that means that it is in the budget every year unless some action is taken against it. We are reanalyzing and reprioritizing as much of that as we can.
So what does that look like, I guess? Give me a sense of the volume of dollars that you're
Well,
reviewing.
there's no, so I'll try to give you an answer. I understand the question, but to give you an idea, where in some areas we talk in the billions of dollars, to bring some real reform and to make being inside the welfare system as an employee, to make that fundamentally a career, would probably only take between $20 and $40 million. And that would be increasing staff, and that would mean increasing the pay of those people who actually go into a home. This is a dangerous environment at times. Go into a home and ultimately make a decision of whether those children will stay in that home or not. So it's not, in a $91 billion budget, it's not a great deal of money. And certainly not an amount of money that we can't find within that budget without having to ask the taxpayer to allocate new funds towards it.
$20 million in that $91 billion budget isn't a big percentage. It strikes me, Speaker Oliva, given the spending ambitions of projects that the governor has talked about in terms of a few $100 million for teacher pay, several $100 million allocated toward the environment, where the Speaker of the House is talking about a priority that could be $20 to $40 million, really a tenth of what some of the priorities that we've heard out of the governor's office.
Well, I think that when you're a hammer, all the world is a nail. When you're dealing with $91 billion in the budget, a few hundred million seems to be not a lot. But that is how a budget grows. Now, in regards to the priorities of the governor, the governor would like to see increased teacher pay. I think that's a valid concern and something that we need to take a look at. I don't think we can just simply throw money at the educational system and say, well, we care because we're throwing money at it. Florida leads the nation in education results in many particular areas, in large part because we've also incorporated into a public school system a choice in education system that has allowed parents to make choices. And so it's a combination of those things. But obviously, any priority of the governor's is something that we take very seriously. Last year on environmental spending, we did, in fact, support the governor on $650 million. He's looking to continue that commitment. We know that Florida is in large part an environmental treasure. We understand the importance of the Everglades, and that for many years, as the state grew, we probably did not give the kind of attention to those areas that we should have. And so the commitment remains from the legislature to make sure that the Everglades is properly taken care of, that our water supplies are properly taken care of. And so I think that those types of things are the type of areas that you don't necessarily look to reallocate dollars from. I think the environment is the very essence of our ability to live in this state. And so we have to continue to make a strong commitment to that. And I think that's why, I celebrate the governor in making that a priority. I think that any Florida governor should have the environment as a priority.
That's Republican Jose Oliva. He's Speaker of the Florida House. He spoke with us via Skype.